Imagine this: in the heart of America's bustling airports, where dreams take flight and prejudices crash land, a routine flight turns into a viral nightmare when an arrogant pilot dials 911 on an innocent black teenager, only for karma to swoop in like a supersonic jet when her father reveals himself as the untouchable head of the FAA. This isn't just a story of instant regret, it's a raw, unfiltered tale of racial injustice, power plays, and sweet, soaring revenge that will leave you cheering from your seat. If you're in the USA or UK and love stories that expose hypocrisy while delivering jaw-dropping twists, hit that subscribe button now. Join thousands who get exclusive, edge-of-your-seat narratives delivered straight to your inbox or feed. Don't miss out. Subscribe today and fuel your passion for justice-fueled fiction. In the sprawling expanse of Chicago O'Hare International Airport, where the hum of jet engines mingled with the chatter of hurried travelers, Captain Harlan Whitaker adjusted his crisp pilot's uniform, his chest puffed with the authority that came from years of commanding the skies. At 52, Harlan was a veteran flyer for United Airlines, known among his colleagues for his no-nonsense attitude and a subtle undercurrent of old-school biases that he masked under the guise of strict protocol. On this crisp autumn morning in October 2024, Flight UA457 to New York was boarding, and Harlan was overseeing the process from the jet bridge, his eyes scanning the passengers like a hawk spotting prey. That's when he noticed her, a young black girl, no older than 17, dressed in a simple hoodie and jeans, her backpack slung over one shoulder as she fiddled with her boarding pass. Her name was Aaliyah Thompson, though Harlan didn't know that yet. She was traveling alone, her first solo flight to visit her aunt in Brooklyn, excited yet nervous about the adventure ahead. But to Harlan, she looked suspicious. Why was she lingering near the gate? Why did her backpack seem bulky? In his mind, shaped by years of post-9/11 security drills and unspoken prejudices, he decided she didn't belong. Without a second thought, he pulled out his phone and dialed airport security, his voice low but firm. "This is Captain Whitaker. There's a suspicious individual at gate B12, a young black female, possibly underage, loitering. Send someone over immediately." Little did he know, this impulsive call would unravel his entire career in ways he could never imagine. Aaliyah stood there, oblivious at first, scrolling through her phone for a playlist to calm her nerves. She was a straight-A student from a suburb outside Atlanta, passionate about aviation since childhood, dreaming of becoming a pilot herself one day. Her father had instilled that love in her, taking her to air shows and explaining the intricacies of flight paths over family dinners. But as two burly airport cops approached, badges gleaming under the fluorescent lights, her heart sank. "Miss, we need to see your ID and boarding pass," one of them barked, his hand resting casually on his belt near his taser. Aaliyah's hands trembled as she handed over her documents, her voice steady despite the fear bubbling inside. "I'm just boarding my flight. What's the problem?" The cops exchanged glances, one muttering into his radio while the other eyed her backpack. "Open it up," he ordered. Humiliated, Aaliyah unzipped her bag, revealing nothing but clothes, a laptop, and a few books, one of them a biography on Bessie Coleman, the first black female pilot. The passengers around her whispered, phones subtly raised to capture the scene. Harlan watched from afar, a smug satisfaction crossing his face, convinced he thwarted some vague threat. But as the cops realized there was no issue, their tone shifted to reluctant apologies. "False alarm, miss. Have a good flight." Aaliyah nodded, fighting back tears, but the damage was done. The stares, the judgment, it all burned into her memory. Unbeknownst to Harlan, Aaliyah wasn't just any teenager. Her father, Dr. Marcus Thompson, was the administrator of the Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA, the very agency that oversaw every aspect of civil aviation in the United States. Appointed by the president 2 years prior, Marcus was a towering figure in the industry, a former Air Force pilot turned regulator, known for his ironclad integrity and zero-tolerance policy on discrimination. He had risen through the ranks despite facing racism himself, turning obstacles into fuel for his ascent. That evening, as Aaliyah called him from her aunt's house in tears, recounting the ordeal, Marcus's blood boiled. "Who did this?" he asked, his voice calm but laced with fury. Aaliyah described the pilot, tall, white, mid-50s, with a United Airlines badge. Marcus hung up, his mind already racing through protocols. He wasn't one for petty revenge, this was about justice, about ensuring no one else endured what his daughter had. By morning, he had pulled strings discreetly, requesting the airport's security footage and incident reports. What he found confirmed his worst fears. Harlan's call was baseless, driven by racial profiling. Harlan, meanwhile, boarded his next flight to Los Angeles without a care, joking with his co-pilot about dodging a bullet at O'Hare. He had no idea the storm brewing. Back in Washington, D.C., Marcus convened a quiet meeting with FAA investigators, emphasizing the need for a thorough probe into the incident. "This isn't just about my daughter," he said. "It's about the integrity of our aviation system. If pilots are making calls based on bias, we're all at risk." The investigation launched swiftly, subpoenas issued for Harlan's records, flight logs, and even his personal communications. Harlan received the first notice via email during a layover in LAX. "You are required to appear for an FAA inquiry regarding an incident at ORD on October 15, 2024. His stomach dropped. An inquiry? For what? He called his union rep, dismissing it as a misunderstanding. But as details emerged, Harlan realized the gravity. The girl was the FAA admin's daughter. Panic set in. How could he have known? But deep down, he knew that wasn't the point. He shouldn't have called at all. As the story unfolded, twists began to layer upon twists. Harlan, desperate to save face, dug into Aaliyah's background, hoping to find dirt. What he uncovered instead was her impeccable record. Valedictorian, volunteer at local aviation museums, even a scholarship winner for a STEM program focused on underrepresented minorities in aerospace. It only made him look worse. Meanwhile, Aaliyah, empowered by her father's support, decided not to stay silent. She posted a video on TikTok, detailing the incident without naming names, tagging #airportracism and #flyingwhileblack. It went viral overnight, amassing millions of views. Comments flooded in from across the USA and UK, outraged parents, fellow black travelers sharing similar stories, even pilots condemning Harlan's actions. The media picked it up. CNN ran a segment on racial profiling in airports. The BBC featured it in a discussion on transatlantic travel biases. United Airlines issued a statement: "We are investigating the matter and do not condone discrimination." But the pressure mounted. Harlan's life spiraled. His wife, Sarah, a flight attendant herself, confronted him at home in their Dallas suburb. "Harlan, what were you thinking? This could ruin us." He defended himself, claiming it was just protocol, but Sarah saw through it, the subtle remarks he'd made over the years about certain passengers. Their marriage strained, arguments echoing through the house. At work, colleagues distanced themselves, whispers in the crew lounge labeled him a liability. The FAA inquiry loomed, scheduled for D.C. Harlan hired a lawyer, practicing his testimony. "I acted out of caution for passenger safety." But leaks from the investigation revealed more. Harlan had a history of similar calls, 3 in the past 5 years, all involving minorities. One involved a Latino family, another an Arab businessman. The pattern was damning. In a surprising twist, Marcus decided to attend the inquiry personally, not as the accuser, but as the overseer. Harlan entered the sterile conference room, sweat beading on his forehead, facing a panel of stern-faced officials. Marcus sat at the head, his expression neutral. "Captain Whitaker, explain your actions," an investigator prompted. Harlan stumbled through his story, avoiding eye contact with Marcus. But when questioned about bias, he faltered. "It wasn't about race," he insisted. Marcus leaned forward. "Then what was it about?" "My daughter had a valid ticket, no threats." "You called the cops on a child." The room tensed. Harlan's lawyer interjected, but the damage was irreversible. Evidence piled up: body cam footage from the cops showing Aaliyah's compliance, witness statements from passengers decrying the unnecessary escalation. As the inquiry progressed, another twist emerged. Harlan's co-pilot, a young woman named Lisa, came forward with testimony. She'd overheard Harlan's mutterings about those people in the cockpit, and now, inspired by Aaliyah's video, she refused to stay silent. "He's not fit to fly if he's judging passengers by skin color," she said. This betrayal stung Harlan deeply. Lisa had been like a protégé. United suspended him pending the outcome, his wings clipped. Back home, Harlan drowned his sorrows in whiskey, scrolling through hate mail on social media. His regret deepened, not just for the call, but for the prejudices he'd harbored unchecked. But the story didn't end with Harlan's downfall. Aaliyah, channeling her pain into purpose, started a non-profit with her father's backing, Wings for All, aimed at educating aviation professionals on bias and providing scholarships for minority youth in aerospace. It gained traction quickly, endorsements from celebrities like Oprah and British actor Idris Elba, who shared it on X. Marcus, ever the strategist, used the incident to push for nationwide reforms. Mandatory bias training for all airline staff, enhanced oversight on security calls. Congress took notice, hearings scheduled on Capitol Hill. Harlan, facing license revocation, sought redemption. In a desperate move, he reached out to Aaliyah via her aunt's address, penning a letter of apology. "I was wrong. Please forgive me." Aaliyah read it, torn. Forgiveness wasn't easy, but she responded, "Apologies are words, actions matter. Prove it by supporting change." Harlan, humbled, volunteered for bias workshops, speaking at events about his mistakes. It was a slow path, but genuine regret sparked change. Years later, in 2028, Aaliyah graduated from MIT with a degree in aeronautical engineering, her father beaming at the ceremony. Harlan, retired but reformed, attended anonymously, watching from the back. The skies were clearer now, thanks to one regrettable call that ignited a revolution. Twists of fate had turned prejudice into progress, regret into renewal.